Hello everyone, Gerard Scarpesi, co-founder of the Hairbrain community here in New York City for a very, very exciting HB Live. It's number 270. We have an incredibly special guest. You know, the word legend, icon gets thrown around like crazy in our industry, but very few times is it actually true to be working with a legend. And today we're working with Garen, who has had a career that spanned decades at the top of his game in fashion, in salon owning, in product manufacturing. This man has done it all, and today he's going to be sharing some cutting and styling inspired by what he's learned over the years doing so many shoots, and also relating it to what we do behind the chair. So without further ado, Mr. Garen.
Hey guys, it's great to be here, and I have one of my angels with me, Helen Harley. And what we're doing is that Helen's been a very good client, kind of inspiration muse, and when I first met her, she came in with this gorgeous red hair, and what I loved about it is that it just had so much vibrance to it in a natural wave. So we cut it originally into a very short bowl cut, and now that she's modeling full time, we decided that we're going to grow it out, and I have to keep it up. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to cut the fringe and around the face to keep it long enough and short enough so it still has style, but it also has a lot of movement. So I'm going to start in the front, and I'm going to cut a horseshoe. Parting a horseshoe, sorry.
And Kelly, we have a photo of how Garen had cut Helen's hair before. So if you guys want to see on Garen's Instagram page.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so this was the shape, and we discussed that she was growing it a little bit, but still wanted to keep that edge, and that's what he was going to be working on today.
So when I start cutting the bangs, and when you're cutting with curly hair, you use less tension. Always remember that, because if you don't, then you end up having little short mama bangs, okay? So I'm taking the hair, and I'm going to start combing it forward, and I'm going to relax it so I'm not pulling. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start slicing into the hair. Just remember, it's always easy to take more off than it is to put it back on once it's missing.
Everyone is so thrilled to be learning from you today, Garen. We have people watching from all over the world already, in Pakistan and here in New York City.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Pasadena, we've got Hasblati. Hey Hasblati, watching from Pasadena. Everyone's thrilled to get this up close and personal lesson from Garen. We've got lots to talk about, but I'd love to hear your questions for Garen as well about his incredible career, about his technique today here on Helen. So just be sure to type in your questions, and I'll mention them. And let us know where you're watching. I'll give you a shout out.
And what I'm doing is I'm blending the sides from the fringe into the corners of the sides, into the back. And I'm going to come back later and I'm going to take out some of this corner because I don't want it to be boxy at the bottom. Take my second section forward. And you notice how I adjust her head to keep it up so that I have a visual on where I'm going with it. Now, I'm not like Howard, who just takes a straight edge razor. I like my hands. So he's one of our co-founders of the brand R&Co. And Tom Priano is the other founder. And I think he was doing this a couple weeks ago, live. He does all the men.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have Tom with us, and we played a lot of fun games that maybe we can play that game again here today. What celebrity superstar hair have you not done? So we had everyone out there write names, and it was all men: Brad Pitt, John Travolta. And then I would ask Tom, hey, have you done this person? Have you done that person? And of course, he had done about 90% of them. And I'm sure the same is true for you. So if you guys are interested in maybe fashion shows that Garen's done, what designers he's worked with, photographers, just give shout outs and I'll ask him. Those are great questions.
Here's that corner I was talking about. I'm just coming in and I'm going to edge it out.
So here's a question, technical question, Garen, coming in
Yes.
from Marcus. Would you still cut curly hair with less tension if the client wanted the option of blow drying it smooth? Would you cut it the same way?
Yes, I would. Yes, because if it's going to be blown out smooth, I would probably use a scissor. If she was never going to wear it natural, I would use a scissor. and I would use a combination of scissor razor. But if I was using a scissor, there would be total tension on it.
Right. Excellent. Thank you for that question. That's a great question. And keep those technical questions coming in. We love that. That's what we're here. We want to share the magic and the artistry that Garen has mastered over these years. We were talking a little bit earlier, and I love the history here, where we were talking about when Garen was starting out back in Buffalo with Glenby, and one of his great stories about Roger Thompson, who I know we've got a lot of hair nerds out there watching, and Roger is one of the godfathers of incredible haircutting and hairdressing, and came over to America to work with the company Glenby, and that's kind of where you got your start. But you were the bad boy, you were telling me.
I was the bad boy, yeah. Roger was very disciplined. He was the creative director of Vidal Sassoon. And Vidal insisted that everybody, and Roger, being the creative director, they used these tiny little scissors. They were 6 inches total in length. So they were like
4.5 inch blade, yeah.
It was so small. And they would cut one hair at a time. And it would be like 3 hairs at a time, and I was like, "Oh, bullshit with this." I'm going in, and I would go in, and I would take the razor blade, and I would be hacking away and doing whatever. And the funny story was that at the end, when he started, he was, he wasn't going to work for Glenby anymore. They had to select someone to take over his creative job, and I said, "Well, I'm done. I'm not ever going to be the creative director. I mean, I've gone through I've done everything backwards, everything, I was a rebel." And all of a sudden, my name was called, and he called me in the office and said, "I want you to be the creative director." And I was just like, "Oh, shit." So I ended up, that's what we did. And I had a great team, and it was actually the team that was with him, and there was like 6 of us that worked together, and it was a great time.
I love that story, and I especially love the idea that someone so iconic was so open-minded and progressive that he didn't just judge you for trying different things. And it makes me think about R&Co as a brand, that it's about the culture of hairdressing. And let's talk about that a little bit, because obviously we've got a great haircut going on here. Everyone's loving it. Love the history, but we also want to talk about kind of your newest baby, being one of the co-founders of R&Co, and what that idea of the culture of hairdressing really means to you.
Well, when LBP, which is Luxury Brand Products brand, came to talk to us, they said, "We have this crazy idea." They had already had Orbe, and they had all these designer lines, and I had my own product line, which was Garrett New York. And so they said, "We have an idea. Would you be into doing this?" And I was like, can I have the waterfall back? I'm using waterfall on her hair so that I can get a natural curl. So at that point, I just thought about it, and I said, "Okay, how do we stay contemporary, Tom?" And it was Tom and I, and they already had Howard on board. And so I said, "What? Why not? Let's do it. Let's be part of this, and let's have 3 people that are really the top of their game," which was Howard and Tom and myself, and let's go for it, and let's scramble it all up, because no one with big names would ever sit or be with someone else that had a big name.
Well, yeah, it was super exciting when I first heard about this collective, was the word you guys were using.
Yeah,
and I was thinking,
and we went rogue.
Yeah,
That's basically what it is. Now I'm using Twister, which is a curl primer, waterfall for moisture, and now Twister on the ends to encourage the curl.
So in terms of the product and the development, as obviously someone who's worked in so many different situations in the salon with very high-end clientele, on photo shoots, on runways, how does all that experience come in with time to develop the R&Co products?
Well, Howard, had his whole spiel about how he works, and Tom had his whole spiel. I was like the one that did the most classic, or had the most. I was into hairstyling and hair cutting, but I also, being that I do fashion shoots, and I've been doing them for decades, I had to be able to work in a way that I create fantasy for the magazines, and then I would create looks for my clients. So I kept it in that world, because like right now, this is my client. This is a model on a shoot. This girl, Helen, is going to be able to do her own hair, and I'm going to start off by drying it naturally with the diffuser. Now, normally at home I would tell her, just put the product in and let it dry. But in this case, we want to get through this 45 minutes, and we want to speed things up. But I do want to say, if she has natural curly hair, I would send her home with R&Co Palm Springs to put in her hair at night before she goes to bed, or leave it on 30 minutes on dry hair, so that it would control the curl and it would make it healthy. And then in the morning, I would suggest using R&Co Analog shampoo conditioner. It's it's 2-in-1. And I would have her alternate between that and our newest one called Television, which is a shampoo and conditioner. And that would keep her hair really healthy. It'd keep her curl really even, and it wouldn't look dried out. Because when you do fashion shoots, you end up having so many people attacking her head. And she's not only my girl, she's everybody's girl. And to make a long story short, she's got to learn how to keep her hair healthy so she's not in a situation where it's all broken off.
So Darren, lots of love coming in from everyone. Now guys, there's going to be more here, so you just got to see a little bit of the cutting, a little bit of the styling. Then Darren's going to dress hair for you, so don't go anywhere. We're really just getting into the thick of it here. Doing a little bit of natural drawing now.
Now I would teach her how to puff the hair, and I'm using a Dyson because I feel that this new blow dryer, I can diffuse the hair and it dries it twice as fast as any other dryer.
Yeah, we get a lot of love.
And Helen would be doing this herself normally. But today she gets to have me do it.
So I can tell by your comments you guys are loving Garen. There's a unique opportunity to see Garen, Tom, and Howard live in November in Los Angeles. If you want to go and actually see these three collective geniuses work their magic on stage, you can head to the R&Co Vision On event. It is going to be on November 12th, and it's in Los Angeles. It'll be featuring Garen, Tom Priano, and Howard McLaren, the founders of R&Co, live. I imagine you guys are going to be presenting lots of pre-done models and cutting and styling on stage and interacting with the audience.
Well, actually, the three of us are all doing three different things. Because it's a Legends tour.
Okay.
So basically, what's happening in Howard's room is not happening in my room. And they're doing a round robin where the teams will come in and they're going to watch what Howard did. Then they're going to come and they're going to go into my room and watch what I did. And then they go to Tom and they're going to watch what he does.
And then by the end of the day, they'll
all have the same experience.
That's excellent. So guys, if you're interested in that, and that's open to anybody that wants to work with these legends, go to vision.randco.com for tickets. So it's the Vision On event, November 12th in Los Angeles, featuring Garen, Tom Priano, Howard McLaren. It's the Legends Tour. They're each going to have their own room, and throughout the day you'll cycle through and get to spend time with each one of them. Sounds incredible, and I know the Hairbrain team's going to be there, and we're excited. And if you're interested in tickets, vision.randco.com. Or you can always head to R&Co on Instagram, and I'm sure there's plenty of information on there. I'm sure the guys would love to see you and really welcome you in.
And also Helen's going to be there, so you have to meet one of my
So what does that mean to you when you say Helen's your muse? The first thing I noticed about Garen when I came in today, how everything is important to him. I work with a lot of hairdressers. Some people don't notice anything. It was important to him where his comb was placed, where the mirror was placed, obviously everything to you is visual. So how important is a muse?
Well, a muse to me is someone that trusts me, that I can create, and she really enjoys the moment. I mean, I had Linda Evangelista as a muse. I had Amber Valletta as a muse.
Not bad.
I had Kim Alexis as a muse. I mean, I've had Carolyn Murphy as a muse. I mean, it just goes on and on. Even Naomi. You know, even though her hair is not her hair, but it is her hair. I mean, it's
she bought it. It's hers.
It's real, you know. So, you know, when you get those opportunities to be able to create and transform them, and they really trust you, and there's no, you know, like if I didn't know that Helen was getting a lot of beauty makeup, you know, beauty contracts and stuff like that, I would say, Helen, let's cut your hair off again. But I know where she's going with her career, and I don't want to jeopardize it. So we're working together, and that's what makes a good muse.
So when diffuse drying, everyone at home always has challenges with frizz, whether they be a consumer or a hairdresser. So obviously the product was a big part of it, but actually the technique of drying, is there anything you can share?
Well, if you notice, I'm not combing through it. I am just drying it, and I'm just holding it. I'm cradling it, because what I want is I want the curls to take on their own shape. And if Helen was doing this herself at home, she would be doing the exact same thing. I would have her flip her head upside down, and I would use my fingers to loosen it up and have her hit it from behind and loosen it up in the top.
There really is an art to drying naturally like this. I think sometimes...
And the diffuser is important.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen kids take it and use the blow dryer on full strength and just mat the hair around, then they have to put a ton of product on the head to try to calm it all down. Well, I'm really embracing everything about Helen's hair. Now, if I was blowing it dry, it would be a whole different ball game. We would take section by section, but we're not doing that today. I want her to be cool, I want her to enjoy her hair, and I don't want her to be one of those victims where she's getting a blow dry every 3 days because she wants her hair straight.
So lots of lovely comments coming in. Albina Tufta says lovely. Kyle Gould says, Garen, you're such an incredible artist. Thank you for all the inspiration. Laura Rio says, love it. Donna Marola says, a great cut. And our good buddy Douglas McCoy, who I know works with you guys, they're watching at the House of Pop. He says they've got live stream on the projector on the wall. Douglas
I love Douglas. Douglas has got everything going.
He sure does. Now guys, don't go anywhere. We're really just getting started here. We've got another half hour or so of styling. So Garen wanted to shape up the hair, and then he was going to start to dress it. Now I think that leads us into maybe discussing a little bit about New York Fashion Week. If you're watching at home, we're right in the middle of New York Fashion Week, which is all the main designers come to New York and all the hairdressers flock here. And Garen, of course, as a legendary editorial hairdresser, has his pick of shows to work on. And I know that, I think it was maybe just last night, you worked on one of your favorites.
Yeah, Monday night I worked with my friend Anna Sweet. It was her show. And it was called Shangri-La.
And basically what she created was a bazaar, like a Casbah, and she was selling clothes and jewelry, and the girls would mingle through it, and they were coming from everywhere around the world. So at that point, she was doing turbans and little hats, and she was doing layered clothes, everything very cool with sneakers, because it was the real girl, her Anna Sweet girl. And at the end, I said to her, let's pick 6 or 9 girls and let's have a hero hairstyle or a hero look. And she said, well, what do you think? And I said, well, I'd like to make their hair look like a turban. So I came up with this rockabilly idea, which happens to be one of our classes that you can take from Aaron Coe that shows you how to do the rockabilly look. And I was able to bring it to life at a fashion show, which is very rare. And it also reminded me of the days when I was working with Linda and Amber and everybody else, and I was able to cut their hair and put them in the shows, and they would wear their hair natural, and it was just about the haircut.
It's extraordinary to hear those stories, because sometimes you hear a lot about a ponytail or just a natural wave. So having your pick of shows, that's...
I used to do Valentino, and I used to do Donna Karen, and I used to do Calvin Klein, Marc Jacobs for a long time, and when he got back into fashion. But then after a while, I started realizing, I got so many things, I wear so many hats, that I have to edit things down. So I've been working with Vera Wang, doing her collection, because she now does her collection online. She doesn't even do a fashion show. So that's a whole great different take on what's going on in fashion. Now, if you look at Helen's hair, it's turning into a parasol, which I've created this back in the 70s. I created it back in the 90s. And I've now brought it back. It's 2018.
Well, I mean, beautiful hair never goes away, right?
Yeah, but it's the shape. It's all about the shape, and it's about getting your eye focused on what is new and what can come back. I mean, you have Sonia Requiel that was known for her, and you have to Google her because I know the young generation has no clue who Requiel was. And then you had Deborah Turbeville, who was a photographer that used the girls in their raw state, and they were just so angelic, you know, and not really sexy, but just angelic. And then you had Guy Bourdain, and you had Chris von Wagenheim, you had, you know, and a lot of these guys I got to work with. So we're at the end. Now she's been dried.
Yay.
Now, Helen, can you look in the mirror and play with your hair and get it as big as you can?
Yeah.
Just stand up if you want. Let's use a little trophy to get more into it. And here's trophy. This gets more texture and more volume.
So don't go anywhere, guys. We're really just getting started. This was a cut and a basic styling. Now Garen's going to start to dress the hair. So that's definitely what you don't want to
I
miss.
am dressing right now.
You definitely don't want to miss this. We had a great question coming in from Dennis DeTore asking who your mentor was, Garen. Who were some of your hairdressing influences?
My influences, well, I grew up in the 60s, so it was Kenneth Alexandre de Paris, and it was Antoine, and it was Vidal Sassoon.
Well, there you go. That's it.
So I had that whole group that I was scrambling together. And I actually was doing hair before I could do hair because I was so obsessed with my mother.
Kitchen beautician?
Kitchen beautician. I'd go on the weekend and take my little dryer and my little tools and go from my mother's friends, girlfriends, and create Vidal Sassoon looks and create Kenneth looks, big teased hair. I had Marilyn Monroe, she was so iconic, and the Camelot years. And so there's there's so much history that I have to go back to. And that's what's happening in the shows. I mean, when you saw Chanel, you saw the big teased hair that, Guido did. And it was like, well, you're right back to square one again, where I loved. So
when I think of those legends like Kenneth and Alexander, and I think of you, I think of someone who's carrying on that torch, to be completely honest, because it could be easily lost, We've gone through a lot of different types of hair cutting and hair dressing, but that, almost kind of Parisian.
Well, all of it. Yeah. Elizabeth Taylor and Marilyn Monroe were like my idols, and Sophia Loren, because I love movies. Kids don't watch movies anymore. They play video games or whatever they do. And it's like a whole education. And, when I'm working with like Stephen Meisel or Stephen Klein, they're going back to Helmut Newton, and I worked with Helmut Newton. So I know the kind of girl that they're thinking of. And I have those references in my head. So now I'm going to take Helen from this natural, very, very coquette-y look. And, she could use neon lights on it. It's just a new product that we came out with this season. And it's an oil, and it'll just add a lot of shine and calm down some of the frizz if I wanted to.
So obviously you're not afraid to layer the products. Is there, some products maybe would get heavy or sticky?
Well, my rule is you play with it delicately. You might watch Howard, and Howard will be taking it and really putting layers and layers and layers on. Tom will take a little bit at a time. And me, I'm very cautious. I take it because I know if I'm on a photo shoot, I have a whole day that I have to create 12 different looks. So I'm not going to kill myself right from the beginning. I'm going to build. And this is what I do even with a client. I'll send her home with directions of like, what's your conditioner, what's your shampoo, what's your product for natural curly hair, what is your product that you go to if you want to slick your hair back, What's the product you're going to take away? So therefore, when they leave the salon, they have a prescription, and they have what it's for, and they know exactly when to use it.
That's great advice for everyone watching at home. And if you're just joining us, because I know a lot of people are coming in, we are here in New York City with Garen, legendary, and I use that word very sparingly because I do think it gets thrown around a little bit too much, but in this case, let's all bow down.
Well, I didn't think I was a legend until they did the Legends tour, and then I realized when Howard says, well, what legend are you going to do? And I said, I'm doing myself.
Let's just have mirrors everywhere, and it'll be just about
It's all about me.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to create the rockabilly that I did for Anna Sui. And I'm parting the hair from the crown like a horseshoe. And if you notice, I'm very light-handed. I'm not attacking the hair like it was my enemy.
I've noticed that about great session workers and great, editorial hairdressers. The hands are like butterfly. It's not like aggressive.
You can't be, because first of all, the girl's been beaten up for months, working from set to set. And she's very sensitive. Her scalp is sensitive. And what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the hair, and I'm going to comb it forward.
That is a huge part of your success, right? Being able to work with supermodels, they have to actually like you, and you have to have a good relationship because they can have any hairdresser on set that they want.
Well, also now you're working with celebrities, and celebrities are, they all want who they want. And when they hear, I know this sounds like I'm blowing my own horn, but it's quite amazing that this experience has happened to me. Is that when Kendall Jenner wanted to cut her hair, there was so many other people that could have been there doing it, but she actually requested me. And what that means, and like Kim Kardashian even, it's like when she's got her own team, but when she's doing some kind of editorial that is really like an important moment for her, and they say, well, we got Garen, and there's not a question. She just goes with it. She says, great, fine. Oh, well, okay, what is he going to do? I don't care what he does. She just goes with it. So now this is kind of a modern, this is not...
It's amazing already.
It is what it is. It's like I'm using her curls, and if you notice, I keep referencing a mirror, and if you could come around, you could see how I'm in the mirror looking at the proportion of what's happening.
When you're working on set or backstage, do you have them bring mirrors in? I've been on so many sets.
There's mirrors backstage, and then on the set, I'm visually always away from the girl, and then I get into the girl. And what I do is I stand back and I look, and I have Levi as my assistant, and I'll say to him, "Let me know if it needs to go down a little further. Do I have to make it bigger? Like while I'm there," and he'll go like this, meaning take it up, take it up, take it up. And it's like a routine that we have this communication together, and it always works. It's always worked. So basically, now I've anchored it forward. You saw me put the rubber band in. Now I'm going to take neon lights, and I'm going to rake it through her hair because I want to calm down some of this frizz.
And what type of a product is that?
Neon lights is an oil spray, dry oil spray. And what it's going to do is it's just going to, if you see, the wave is still there, but it's getting lankier. It's not as fuzzy. And I left these little bits out on the side of Helen because I still want her to have this cool look, like rocker chick look. And that squeaky chair is genius. And then I'm going to surprise you with this new product that we're coming out with at Christmas time. It's called Glittering. And it's gold in a bottle.
Yay.
And it's limited edition, guys. So the reason why I'm bringing it up today is because you only have, like when it's launched, you only have so many products that'll be available, and it goes away. You won't have a chance to get it.
So it literally puts a gold shimmer in the hair?
It puts a shimmer in, and it's really shiny. As you see, the gold just takes it and works on every color hair. You could see, look at the shine that you're getting.
Yeah.
It's our gold in a bottle.
It smells so good.
Yeah, I was also going to mention the aroma,
The aroma,
of the
yeah,
products. It's clean but
It's
fragrant,
clean,
nothing overpowering.
it's fresh. You know, we've learned that we like things a little lighter than before, but when you come around and you see the shimmer of it, it just has so much, it's like glass.
So much love coming in. Everyone is just so grateful to be able to share time. Our good friend Morgan Roy, she says it looks beautiful. Everyone is just so grateful to have you. The man himself, says Daniel Smeets. So lots of love. And guys, if you have questions for Garen, and I have one that I'm going to ask on behalf of everyone watching, literally being one of the most successful hairdressers, renowned hairdressers in the world, what tip would you give to a really ambitious hairdresser out there who is maybe trying to figure out, maybe they're young in their career, maybe they're not, maybe they want more out of their career. What's your one best tip to get to the next level as a hairdresser?
Well, my best tip, my biggest godsend was that I had an editor-in-chief that came up to me at the moment when I first started doing hairdressing for the Vogue magazine. And she said to me, "This is your moment, run with it." But also, being brought up the way I was brought up, I always knew that if I could learn one thing from one person, every time I do hair or watch them do hair, I've learned something else. I'm not better than my client. I'm not the superstar. I did 20 years with Madonna, and that was my Marilyn Monroe. So I had my big moment with her, and I did the sex book, and all those changes, the chameleon. I mean, she was amazing. And as I said before, I got to even do my dream, Audrey Hepburn. But that didn't make me, it didn't get my head so big. I knew I was there to do a service. And I think if you remember that you're part of the team, and you do have those grand moments where you're like hitting yourself or going into your room at night and going, I can't believe I just worked with her, or I just did that. And I just got noted on the front page of the New York Times for cutting Farrah Fawcett's hair off. And it's like making it straight. Those moments, so many moments I've had, but I'm not better than anyone else. But I think kids should learn to do their history, know the background, look at old movies, so there's something to grab onto.
So be humble, be of service, know your history.
And be on it. Like I'm watching what's going on, and if I feel like when I go up and I want to do that with the girl because the editor can't get in, they don't care that I do that. Because we're so seasoned.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've absolutely noticed.
Now there's Helen, and that's her rockabilly, and she could also then put a second ponytail and do it like so.
I know so many of you are really enjoying this time with Garen, and we're super lucky. We actually, this week, also released a podcast for those of you that are into the HB Conversations, where Garen sat down with our CEO, Gordon Miller, and they chatted for over an hour, and you shared all these great stories and anecdotes. So anyone that's interested in that, you can just go to our Instagram and you'll get all the information on how to upload that podcast so you can listen in. Did you enjoy doing the podcast?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I think we're doing another one because I had too much to talk about.
Garen,
as you can tell, I can't shut up.
Yeah. Well, I like that.
I am quiet on the set though.
Yeah. So you just quickly put the back into a ponytail and kind of change the look of it.
Yeah, she's a whole different chick.
But it's just so beautiful. It's just easy,
and it's
isn't
simple.
it? Yeah.
And it's like sometimes people make things so difficult, and it's really so simple. But the thing you have to know is you got to get to know hair texture and types of hair. And once you know that and you really understand it, then you know what not to use and what to use. So thank you.
Again, guys, if you've enjoyed this, and I know that you have, you want to take the opportunity to join Garen live, actually in the flesh. Garen, Tom Priano, and Howard McLaren are going to be part of a great show called Vision On in Los Angeles. on November 12th, where they're each going to have their own classroom, and all the attendees are going to circle through kind of round robin, spend a few hours with each one of these incredible hairdressers. Just go to visionon.randco.com for more information, or follow RNCO on Instagram. Follow Garen New York on Instagram. Thank you so much, Helen, for being an incredible model. Thank you, Garen, for sharing with the community. Levi, for helping us. Peace out, guys. We'll see you real soon.